Hey Ben, huh?
Hey Ben, how are you?
Yeah, too bad, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh,
A little
I
bit
don't-
sleepy today, more
Oh.
than other days. Maybe it's because of it was a really hot day today in
Oh,
Madrid,
how hot?
34 or something like that. Yeah,
It's been a lot cooler here today.
yeah.
Um,
I hope you enjoyed it.
yeah. Yeah, very much. Um, been inside some of the time. I've been out today, but I'm not so tired. I had caffeine fairly recently and exercise, so I'm awake for a little bit longer.
Let's see that caffeine is not going to take some of your rest for today, because if I, for example, if I drink coffee or Coca-Cola, Coke or something really late, um, afterwards it's not easy for me like start sleeping. It took me like a little bit longer, like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. maybe sometimes. Yeah. So I like caffeine, but not at night.
Yeah, I don't usually. I just did today before I did exercise.
Let's see who else is going to join.
Yeah.
At least Greg probably will join, because he was active on Slack like 10 minutes ago. Let's see.
Yeah, he's active on Slack now. And Jason will be here as well.
Wait.
Hello.
Hey, Jason. Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good too. Enjoying the summer in Madrid. I mean, it's like a little bit hotter than what I like, but still enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually been pretty chilly here until the last couple days. On Friday, summer finally arrived all at once.
Are you still in Tajoe?
Yep.
Yeah. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg. Good morning.
I will be eating, so I'm going to turn my camera off. Breakfast time.
Oh, don't want to skip that.
Shall we get started then?
Let's see
Let's-
if Julian's going to join us. Although I don't know. It's late for him, but he might join us. Or
He might be taking the holiday off.
yes, good point. I think that's not an unreasonable assumption.
I completely forgot about that holiday.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was telling Ben earlier I'm delaying my celebration of the holiday till later in the week when the crowds have died off. So I'll be away Thursday, Friday. It's well, part of Thursday.
Yeah, it's actually July 4th here. It's
Oh yeah, because America's July 4th as well, so it's Monday, Tuesday.
Is there something today?
It's just really common to take off Monday as well when it's on a Tuesday, just because it's weird to have a day off in the middle of the week.
I never got to experience that. All the employers I worked for, yeah, required that if you were going to take that extra day, you had to, like, it would have to be a vacation day. Like, they didn't give it to you. Like, even the day after Thanksgiving, which just really annoyed me.
That's just not fair. Yeah, I think you're right. I think sometimes I had to take a vacation day for those extra days, but either way, it usually ends up that way. I think next year it'll be on like a Wednesday. I don't know what they can do with that.
Shall we get started then? After this
Let's do
great
it.
talk about holidays.
It's a bit of
Okay,
a
I'm going to share my screen, and let's start as always with the meeting etiquette. We are going to record this meeting to share it with the community and also to share it in YouTube. If someone in this meeting is again sharing this publicly in YouTube, just reach out to me privately and I take care of no uploading this one. Otherwise, it will be uploaded tomorrow. We encourage everyone to challenge any language or behavior that is harmful, not inclusive, or against our code of conduct. We'll try to stay on mute when other person is speaking and use the reactions to ask for a turn to speak. And with any further ado, let's take a look to today's agenda, that we have like a really packed agenda. First point from my side, the PR number 5 in the community repo regarding it's a pending PR for the code of conduct, and I'm curious about if there is something pending in that discussion. So I just added this for check with everyone what is the current status of that one. Later we have issue 418, that is one of the elements of the roadmap, research for existing implementations by language, added by Ben. After that, we have another issue part of the roadmap, 412, strategy for engaging implementers, again, added by Ben. Same thing in the next item, 410, refine the contribution journey. And same thing again, 408, identify a list of critical interfaces that implementations should have and empower implementers with better resources. Finally, another point added by Greg, a discussion regarding converting the spec to Markdown. We are still on time to have more topics to the agenda, so if someone in the session and the meeting wants to add anything, just edit the issue or add a comment and we will get that item included. Any comments so far before starting?
Yeah, only one comment. Most of the issues that I've raised are I'm intending for us to look at them and read through the list of success criteria and think about those and discuss them to see if there are any thoughts or concerns or agreements in terms of those criteria. So it's not necessarily I'm providing an update on them, but I want to provide space for us to spend time reading them and thinking about them and discussing our thoughts as we have them on them, and feed them back onto the issue either as we're reading or after this call. But I want to try to nail down those success criteria so we can move them on to the next stage where they are not unspecified, but they are in the planning phase on the project boards. That's what I wanted to mention.
Thank you for the clarification, Ben. When I saw you adding the package of these 4 issues, I was thinking something like that, like taking a look to the list of tasks and success criteria. So thank you for the clarification. Yeah, great. Any comment before reviewing the action items of the previous session? Okay, let's take a look to the notes of the previous session. We captured 4 action items. First one was for Ben to modify the charter to use the sentence JSON compatible data instead of JSON data. And I updated this one as completed because I saw you updating the pull request. So am I right with marking this as completed? Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Next action item from my side was to create an issue to check to ask for feedback with the community to see if we can adopt agree in using thumbs up and thumbs down to notify if we are going to attend a meeting. And the issue has been created, is 432. I think that no one provided feedback for the moment, but the issue is there. So as soon as we start capturing some feedback, we can proceed or discard this proposal. Next action item, create a free account of Plausible and reflect that in the infrastructure.markdown file. I'm not updating this one as completed because I have created the account, but I'm not updating the infrastructure markdown for the moment because I prefer to wait until we have the new website on production, because the Plausible, as far as I understood, is connected with the domain, and the domain is still linked to the old site. So as soon as we launch the new website, I'll update the infrastructure markdown, not only to reflect that we are using Plausible, but probably to reflect multiple changes in the website, because in the website we are specifying that the blog is in a different repo, different things that are going to change. So probably I will take a full look to that file, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Good, thank you. And the last action item is check with the contributor of Google Summer of Code that we know that is not joining the sessions and is not responding our messages. I tried to reach out to that person, but without any response. I don't know if you, Jason, try it and you were able to speak with that person.
Yeah, I haven't tried her again, but I haven't heard from her yet either.
Yeah, I'm concerned that I mean, I'm pessimist right now. I'll try again, but probably we will need to have a discussion among mentors to see what we do with the process of the midterm evaluations that is going to happen in the upcoming days. So yeah, I'll start a discussion in Slack with you and the rest of the mentors to see how we proceed.
Okay.
And that was all. Any comment regarding those action items from the previous session? No comments. Let's start with the agenda. As I said, we have like a great package of issues for today. Let's start with the pull request number 5 in the community repo. Let's open it. I was just taking a look to the pull request we have here. We had one that I created following a suggestion by Ben, and I saw this other one that is like here for long, and I'm just curious about what we have pending here, because I was reading the discussion and I'm not sure if it's still ready for review or we need to wait until we are done with the process of joining the OpenJS Foundation. I don't know if someone can share some insights.
Well, the way this is rewritten, the way the document is currently written, it says that we're in the process of joining. It says JSON Schema is in the process of joining OpenJS. But the way that it's rewritten does not reference that process at all. It just says we subscribe to the OpenJS Foundation Code of Conduct, which I think is completely fine to go ahead and merge in now. I don't see any problems with the way this is currently. There was one, I think Julian pointed out, a link was broken, and Ben, you made a suggestion. Looks like that's been merged. I think that conversation can be resolved. But I don't see any problems with this document as is.
Are we okay in maintaining these references to AETF guidelines?
Yeah, I think it's fine just to have a reference, just like our spec is going to end up referencing relative JSON pointer and various other IETF documents. It's just we're not saying we're part of the IETF. We're saying this piece of the code of conduct is something that we're that we want to incorporate into our code of conduct.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a really useful document they have laid out, because it spells out not just even like code of conduct requirements or anything like that, but it says how we expect to work with each other, which I think is really valuable in terms of making our expectations of each other clear.
So the agreement is just go and merge it. Is that correct?
It's currently blocked from being merged from the check PR dependencies thing, and I can't remember how that got resolved last time.
Okay.
I will look into that.
Okay. I mean, if this is the agreement, I don't have. I mean, I'm not against that, but I'll suggest if we are not part of the ETF, I suggest. I mean, I'm fine. It's okay keeping references to IETF because it's part of our history, but I'm not sure if we need to provide this like a full section because it can get some people confused. This is my perception, like as a new joiner, but I trust in your criteria. So as soon as we have.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to put a note saying that although we're not part of the IETF, or the document that, the specification isn't published through the IETF at this point in time, that we still I guess seek to follow the ethos of some of their working behaviors and best practices that come from the IETF documents. I'm sure we could say something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing, like adding that clarification. For people that was using JSON schema for very long, maybe they have that context, but people that is going through the document for the first time, maybe they can like have the feeling that this is like a mix of things, or we didn't take care of like updating everything, like make a clean update when we are done with moving from one place to another. So I think that if we add that clarification, will be the best scenario.
Yeah, if you want to leave a review and request changes on that, then we can make sure I get that work in.
Great.
Jason, was there something you were gonna say on that?
I was just gonna agree mostly. Yeah, I agree that that section seems awfully prominent and it's not as clear as it should be that it's just a piece that we're borrowing from IETF and we're not associated or intending to be associated with them.
Yeah, I can definitely rework that section. I think that's wise.
Thank you. No, it's much more clear for me. Finally, to share a part of the date of the time open of the PR took my attention. I'm also pending of suggest some changes regarding the escalation process and the conflict litigation and stuff like that. And it's pending from this PR. So as soon as this is merged, I'll send another PR with some proposals to improve in the conflict mediation and escalation process. Yeah, that was my main reason for this.
That discussion is 319.
Sorry?
Your conflict resolution discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly that one. So it's in my to-do list for 4 months or something, and I just I felt that was like the right moment to make those changes added. So yeah, thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
So let's start with the 4 items of the roadmap. First, issue research of existing implementations by language is issue 418. Ben, do you want to take the lead reviewing the content?
Yeah. So just a refresher on this. This was checking to see what was out there and see if we had good implementations in each language. Julian has taken on the work of specifying and owning this particular work. And Ben Howe will be supporting that in terms of engaging with implementers. So if we could just take a couple of minutes to review the content of that and the suggestions that Julian have made. I know he's not here to defend them today. But yeah, if we could just take a couple of minutes to read through those and then feedback any thoughts, and we'll move from there.
I'm leaving a comment right now, but have we decided on what high quality implementation means?
I think that's one of the things up for debate.
Yeah, it's not listed in the description, that's why I'm making a comment.
Yeah, I think that's a valid comment.
I think it would be good for us to define a set of characteristics that an implementation must have in order to be considered high quality.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then we each need to go make sure that our implementations have those characteristics.
That'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree too.
This actually may tie into some of that other work that Julian and I are working on for the interfaces. So
Yeah.
I think some of those may be may end up being requirements of a high quality implementation.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. And we'll see what Julian comes back with on his thoughts on the response to your question, because you're right, we need to define that, and it's probably linked.
To add something from my side, what I like about the plan suggested by Julian is like that is actionable. It's like it's not extremely ambitious, and it seems like a good starting point because he is suggesting decide a list of programming languages. I mean, it's like as I said, actionable, not extremely ambitious, and can end up with great insights. Maybe the big thing is update the site with all those insights. Maybe that is just one single action, but maybe that will be extended a lot with depending on what we find. And sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, the only thing I was going to say is, it could be I don't know if white paper would be too strong a thing to do, but we could write a small report on this, report on the ecosystem, to demonstrate to people that maybe wouldn't read a blog post, that the ecosystem is strong and powerful. I mean, I'm assuming that that's what we're going to get as a result, that some implementation or some languages have high quality implementations and other have okay implementations, but it will highlight the strength of the ecosystem, even though we don't consider it all to be high quality at this point in time, and show where things are lacking and what we aim to do in order to help that.
Yeah, this is one of the things to do with those insights. And maybe other thing to do is if we find out that we have like a relevant group of implementations that are not in that high quality group, maybe we need to take action and provide additional resources to help them to scale up, right? So, and maybe this will end connecting with the documentation strategy we already have. We don't have like a lot of, I think that we only have one, if we have 10 releases in that plan, there is one specifically for implementers, suggesting creating a guide, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we can connect this issue with the one for documentation, depending on what we find, and see how we progress with documentation for implementers. Because right now our documentation is just for schema builders, right? Mostly. I hope that what I said makes sense.
I hesitate to make documentation for implementers because I feel like the spec is the documentation. the spec operates very much, or the spec and the test suite, I think, operate as documentation. They define the outcome, but I hesitate to define anything more than what the outcome needs to be, because that could influence architectures of implementations and that kind of thing. And Jason and I have very different architectures of how we go about evaluating schemas. They both work. And I feel like if we start to document, even if we document the way that I do it and the way that Jason does it, I think other implementations will fall in line of those. And I think that may stifle the creativity of an implementer to maybe come up with their own way. If they want to follow the architecture or the strategy of an existing implementation, they're welcome to go look at that implementation and do a port or just pull over ideas from it. And that always remains an option. But if they want to do it their own way, I think having documentation on a specific way to do it would influence and probably, like I said, stifle that creativity.
I agree, and I'd go even farther to say that our specification in some cases goes too far and kind of specifies, if not strongly suggests certain ways of doing things, which I think we should be looking at and trying to reverse some of that and reword some of that as well.
Yeah, I think that's another topic, but I would agree with some.
Yeah, related.
Yeah, fair point.
So, but on the other hand, though, it would be nice to have some resources that help implementers get started. I think there are things that we can provide that that wouldn't be overly prescriptive. For example, you could tell people, hey, if you implement references early, you're going to save yourself a lot of pain trying to fit it in after the fact. So I think there's hints and tips and tricks that we can share without being overly influential.
I love it.
Thank you for volunteering to write some more articles.
I'll add it to the list.
I mean, we have like a good number of comments. I'll go through the notes on the recording and try to put everything not only in the notes of this session, but also in the issue. And as soon as I'm done with that, I'll encourage everyone to take a look to see if I'm missing something. So, yeah, but great discussion. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen again to go with the next issue. 412, a strategy for engaging implementers. This one is assigned to me, so we can proceed with the same way that we did with the previous one. We can take a couple minutes to go through the issue. I'm going to share it in the chat, and we can afterwards have an open discussion to see if something is missing or anything that we can improve. So yeah, let's have those 2 minutes to review everything.
And I think you have a bug crawling on your crawling across your webcam every now and then.
There is a fly messing all the time with my webcam. I don't know why. There is a small light, and I think that the fly is going all the time there. Yeah. Yeah. I'll take care of that after this session. Are we okay starting the discussion? I'm going to share my screen again.
So reading through specifically the first set of deliverables from Ben, and kind of going through the scope and objectives as well. This seems very passive to me. Like we're updating stuff on our website and putting badges on, whatever, stuff like that. But I don't really see much in the way of actually reaching out to implementers and actively encouraging them. There's a lot of gamification where the results are posted on our website. So like, get a badge, get on bow tie, those kinds of things. And without reaching out to implementers, it's really more of it's really more of a thing where they have to notice, oh, hey, there's a badge system on the website now. I notice I'm not these things. Whereas an active approach would be actually going to implementations and saying, hey, we noticed that you're not in bow tie. Would you like to be included in bow tie? Here are the steps that you need to take. I think those kinds of things, I think that active engagement is probably more important than the reporting side. I think the reporting side is good, but without active engagement, I don't think anything's going to change.
Yeah, and I mean you're totally right. We haven't been explicit enough in here. With the badging thing, I had imagined that we, and bow tie, I had imagined we would be going to the repositories and logging issues or discussions or however they want it to be logged. But we haven't explicitly put the outreach steps of those in here. And they should definitely be in here because, as you pointed out, they're not. So yeah, thanks for picking up on that.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. But this issue is assigned to me, so I'm the one that suggested this, made this first proposal, and thank you for the feedback. And I'm adding some gamification, but like as to promote a network effect, like see if more implementers when we celebrate that someone is joining, but it's not enough. So I loved everything you said regarding reaching out proactively. I had some doubts in the beginning because I don't know if we need to decide what is the main way to reach out to them. If they are not in a Slack, I don't know if they will perceive positively if we reach out by email or not. I don't know. So if we don't see, maybe as part of the survey, we can check if they will be open to receive communication by email. I don't know, but I don't want to be like very insistent with communications by email or other way and other channels, and maybe get an opposite effect that we are trying. Like, hey, what happened with JSON Schema community folks that are like sending a bunch of emails, and I didn't provide any permission for that, right? But yeah, I think that I will find a way. So definitely I'm going to take a look to this initial plan and add the gamification element, probably a full category for gamification. And in the research, instead of like this passive or not enough proactively approach here, a second, a different approach, and ask for feedback again to see if everything looks better. Yeah, thank you very much, Greg, and everyone in the discussion. Any comment before going to the next one? Yeah, let's go. Next item, refine the contributor journey, issue 410. I'm going to share it in the chat. And again, let's have a couple minutes to go through the issue and have an open discussion. I'm going to share my screen again. Any comment or piece of feedback regarding the plan and success criteria suggested in this issue?
I think this plan looks good.
Shall we go with the next item then?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think this is good as well. Thank
Yeah.
you.
What is missing is maybe trying to put some real numbers here, but if I'm happy if the metrics make sense. So we can, like, as soon as we start completing the task, we can have a new discussion. Maybe I can make a proposal here, but before making a proposal, we need to make sure that we are able to measure those numbers, right? Yeah. Maybe we can add. Maybe I can add an action item here to decide the metrics or check the metrics when the time is right. Yeah. Okay, next item, issue 408. Identify a list of critical interfaces that implementation should have and empower implementers with better resources. Issue 408. I'm going to show it in the chat. And again, let's have 1 or 2 minutes to go through the issue and the plan to have a open discussion afterwards. as soon as someone is ready, I think that we can start the discussion. So if you have any comment, please share it.
Did Julian update the list based on your feedback, Greg? I'm not sure that he did.
Say that again. Sorry.
Sorry. It looked like based on your comments, you were looking for an update from Julian on the list to include some more detail, but it doesn't look like that was done. What was your, or would you like to summarize your comments of what you think's missing from that list? The questions that you had.
So really my only question for Julian or whoever was whether or not we're going to do whether or not we're going to actively do a survey of implementations to find out what they support, or if we're going to be like including links to other people's documentations or stuff like that. Like what is the outcome of this? Is there an output to this? That kind of thing. Other than that, Julian put his list of things up in your opening comment, and I've added some things that my implementation does in a later comment. But I think Julian meant, based on one of his comments, I think he meant to come back to this and flesh it out a little bit more with some more features, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe we can just give him a little poke on that to see if he wants to make any alterations. In terms of the scope of work, I don't think it's, I could be wrong, but I don't think it's the objective to go and do the actual survey of all the implementations. My hope is we could link this in with the self-reporting story, where we go and ask people, hey, like, it'd be really good if you could self-report your JSON schema implementation. Oh, and by the way, if you have these bits of critical functionality that we've identified, you can link to the bits in your documentation where you talk about those, hint, hint, hint. Because like I find it super frustrating when we have people come in and go, hey, like, I'm using random language I've never heard of, and this implementation over here, how do I do X? I'm like, I got no idea what that language even is. I've never seen that implementation before. I don't know how to link you to the documentation. I might be able to find it in 10 minutes, but I also might not. I would love to go like, here's what the functionality is called. Here is where that implementation has self-reported. You can find the documentation. That's my kind of primary objective, and the secondary objective on that is just having a stronger, more powerful and better ecosystem. Like if we're expecting people to self-report these critical bits of functionality and they're like, well, I don't know what the heck that is, we have to make sure we're providing the resources for people to understand what their implementation is missing. And I think having just the list and examples of maybe one or two implementations, probably within our circles, is going to enable people to better understand what they're missing and why those features matter. So yeah, I don't want us to go all the way and go asking or go knocking on doors with this sorry, not knocking on doors. I don't want us to go doing a survey and all the implementations. I don't think that's a great use of our time, although it would be a nice thing to do. I think our time could be better spent elsewhere, and we can utilize the self-reporting feature to get that information with doing less legwork. You're on mute, Greg.
In that regard, I wonder if once we've identified these things, I wonder if it would be a good idea for us to set up like a Google form that has all this stuff in it, and they can just fill in the blanks of like, what's the, we say, do you have a link to documentation for how to add custom keywords, for example, and then they can post in the link to that, and then we get that as a report, and whether manually or through some magic automation, we take that and push that directly to the website.
So the other the previous issue we were looking at, my envisaging of the self-reporting functionality that would be that the repositories have a JSON file in them where they contain all this information, and we regularly check for updates on that and suck that information in. I think that's the most effective way to do that and automate that, but obviously that requires a little bit of work, but I feel like long term there's a lot of value from having that, because we can add to that, and also we have then touch points and index of those repositories, and we can go back and add issues going, hey, would you like to update this in your self-reporting feature, or here's the new thing we're adding to the self-reporting functionality. And we can dangle carrots and financial support and exposure or whatever we think is going to be beneficial to the implementers and the maintainers in the community to get that updates, or even put in the PRs ourselves where it's not particularly difficult.
Yeah. Jason, do you have any thoughts in this area?
I think it's mostly covered, but my biggest thought was, how do we communicate these things, like what the features are and what they mean and what it means for somebody to implement it. But I think Ben already mentioned that one. So
yeah, that's what I was getting at as far as what's the output of this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the primary outputs are two: having a list and explaining them. I think that's the critical list. Maybe having one or two implementations that we know really well that we can easily check off and go, yeah, here is where all of these pieces of functionality exist within those implementations. I think that's the output from this. The output that I would like to see from this. Obviously, other people might have different ideas, but this is my understanding of this task.
I like that Jason said this comment regarding how we communicate this, and what came to my mind is like trying to be as transparent as possible, and maybe instead of just communicate what we found, we can try to create like a working group or a way for open the doors for others to like join us in this research if someone is open or interested. If we take care of making sure that we are inviting the people, probably nobody is going to join, I don't know, But if we take care of like inviting, have everything transparent, shared every single step, and communicate that finally what we found, I'm sure that the perception will be more positive. And if we are lucky and we have someone joining us in the effort, result is going to be even better. So maybe we can create a set of action items here on that sense, like making sure that we are proactively opening the doors for everyone to join since the beginning, to do it together.
Yeah, I think we should be, transparent every step of the way. It might be really difficult for people that don't have implementations to understand what the critical interfaces are, but there are definitely people in our community who are responsible for products that understand JSON Schema really well, and we should involve those and invite those experts in to assist with these sort of tasks. So yeah, thank you for raising that.
Yeah, and another idea, as you was speaking, popped on my mind is maybe we can have like a session, like a round table or something, speaking about putting some, with the intent of having a recording to provide more context regarding why we are doing this, or maybe like 2 or 3 times share what we found, like not only as notes or an issue. So if we are going to actively work on this and we are going to have a session, I don't know, make sure that we are recording the session and share it properly. Because it's not the same read something that see the people communicating. It's like everything is more real. At least it's my perception. Yeah, just ideas. So we'll figure it out as soon as we start on it. Okay, and we have some minutes, at least a minute, for the last issue added by Greg regarding discuss about converting the spec to Markdown. Greg.
So we have a couple PRs. One that I requested from one of my JSON Path guys, that's number 2 there. Another one was offered by, I think, just someone interested in converting it. We had an issue saying that we wanted to do this. I think this is probably the next step for us to go ahead and just get this done. We have those 2 PRs. We also have the option of just rewriting it from scratch. As Jason said, there's some stuff that we probably just need to completely rewrite. We can take one of these and get it to some kind of markdown, and then make edits as necessary. I think we would need to do a fine-tooth comb. Probably the second one, Karsten opted to delete the XML files after converting them. I think we should keep the XML files until we're sure that the markdown is in a state that we're happy with, just as a point of reference. And then once we're happy that with the markdown, we can then separately delete the XML. But I think we have a lot of ideas that we probably want to edit in the spec. And I think this is the first step to getting toward those, making those edits. I know the XML is a hindrance for me editing the spec. I don't really enjoy doing that, but I like writing Markdown quite a bit. So I think we should probably just pick one of these options and go forward with just, pull the trigger and get it done, and then we can carry on from there.
So I definitely agree that we should pick something and just do it. But I don't think there's a whole lot that we can really get started on making spec updates with until we answer a few questions about how we want to move forward. One of those is what's the scope of the stable release, and and how are we going to handle like things like experimental features or whatever. If we're going to pull that stuff into a different document, then like that's going to greatly affect how we modify the current document, right? So
I see what you're saying, but I think that there's still a lot of stuff that we can edit in the document, like getting rid of some IETF stuff and draft stuff, just maybe even stuff like you were talking about before, specifically the stuff around driving keyword dependencies through annotations. I think that specifically is one that you're looking to back off from in the spec. It's an option for an implementation to do that kind of thing, but I don't think what you're saying is the way that the spec is worded, it promotes that approach to keyword dependencies, which isn't necessarily a requirement in order to have those dependencies actualized. So I think stuff like that we can go ahead and do without having the experimental features and other things like that resolved just yet. And I personally would like to start doing some of those things.
yeah, fair enough. I'm sure there's plenty of low-hanging fruit that we can take care of.
So I'm going to have a look through both of these PRs and see which one I prefer. I haven't looked too much at number one. I did have a cursory look through number two. If I can get others to do the same thing and see what their preference is, then we can pick one of these and go forward.
Ben, you had your hand up, but then I think you went to speak and you were still muted.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to suggest add this action as part of the issue that we have for completing the next spec release, like connected two things. We are discussing that we can do both things in parallel, like starting writing this in Markdown and also close the scope of the spec and close issues. So I'll suggest connect both. And second thing, in the end of the past week, I added a proposal to see how we proceed with the next step for deciding what is scope and so on. So I encourage everyone to take a look to the issue. I don't remember the number, but I mean, Jason and Greg, you both added your comments. So in the same issue, I'm suggesting like 6 or 7 different actions that as a proposal to start from here. That proposal includes removing the milestone that doesn't make sense for us, create a new milestone to track the progress, and have different sessions like to make a list of whatever. I don't want to call this backlog, but decide what are the list of issues that are going to be the final list. The ones that you suggested, and make sure that we are not missing anything in the current milestones. Just please take a look during this week, and if looks good, we can start with that plan as soon as possible. Yeah, just that. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds good. But I'll warn you that that I don't think that list is going to be very big to start with, because I think the first few issues that we're going to have on that list are going to influence what we can do with the rest of the stuff going forward. So so there's a lot of or a few like foundational things that we have to decide before we can really get the full list of things that need to get done for the spec to go out.
Fair point. Please take a look, as a comment. But yes, sounds great for me. At least I'm suggesting an iterative way to close the scope. So, and it connects really well with what you said. Let's start with the foundational items, and as soon as we have those closed, we can go with the next ones, or a different batch of things. So we are not going to solve everything in one single step. Yeah.
Just going back to the conversion to markdown story. How should we be evaluating the PRs for this? Because there's the 2 PRs which you linked, Greg, in your comment. How are you evaluating them? Are you just sort of eyeballing them and or doing a comparison or something? Because obviously you can't do a diff.
Yeah, diff is not very good. Yeah, I'm making the assumption that the text isn't changing. At least the content isn't changing, and just looking at the formatting. As far as the cram down versus markdown one, I've been writing in both, so I think I prefer the markdown, but the cram down does have some additional formatting options, I think, which is why IETF has gone with that. I don't know. I need to look at the markdown one. But yeah, I think initially I'm making the assumption that the content is the same.
Yeah, same. I'm concerned about the what we can do with one versus the other.
Right.
For example, the IETF one, it's important to be able to remove anything IETF related and make it, not show that stuff. But one of the benefits of it is you can build it to a PDF, which we probably wouldn't be able to do with the plain markdown one. But the benefit of the plain markdown one is that we can probably do more things on the website with it. Like if we have experimental stuff that's in there, we could collapse or hide it. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The markdown I think would be easier to publish to the website. You wouldn't even need to pre-render into HTML. There are plugins that just take the markdown and immediately push it into HTML, translate to HTML pretty much live, or at least at like a build time kind of thing. That's what my blog uses. It's built into the Jekyll template, so I don't have to deal with any of that. It's really nice. So yeah, they both have their advantages. It's just what we need to, I guess, take a vote on which we prefer.
Agreed.
Yeah. Who do before closing for the voting? Can we do it in the same issue, like as an action item of the issue, like get feedback from the rest of the core team and check for in the next week or 2 weeks?
Yeah. So the first PR there, number 1, actually links to the issue where we initially said we wanted to convert to markdown. We can use that as our place of discussion.
Yeah, I think we need to determine if it's actually possible to get what we want out of the ITF one, because I haven't 100% seen that that's the case yet. I know Austin has shown a proof of concept that shows most of it, but I haven't seen like 100% like viable solution yet. I think it's likely possible, but before we decide, we should know that it is possible.
Yeah. I think one challenge also is our spec is fairly, the sections in our spec are fairly nested. And once you get past like an H4 in Markdown, it's just bold text. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to go past an H4. But I think we do get into H5s and maybe further in the spec. So we may have a little bit of reorganization that we need to do as far as the sections and some work there as well. With little other stuff like that. That's all I had.
Any other comment? I mean, I think that this is the longest meeting we had, at least since I joined the team. So I don't know if congratulations or what happened. What happened, team? Okay. Anyways, it was a great discussion. We covered a lot. Thank you everyone for the effort and for the great insights. I will have to work a lot tomorrow with all the notes. So yeah, thank you. I love you, everyone. So have a great day, everyone. And let's keep talking in Slack. Take care.
Okay, everyone. See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.